Hi everyone. Alrighty. I I switched up my decks for the month. Let me scoot this up so you guys can see. So for the community read, I'm going to be using my Endless Oracle. If you watch my other videos, I was saying how I really wish I'd used this a little bit more last year. So I'm gonna use it a little bit. Let me scoot this out of the way. So for the tarot, I'm going to be using the Dreamscapes tarot here for the readings. If you would like a more in-depth reading to include the Endless Oracle, feel free to use any of the tip options that I have. And if you are into books and looking for like maybe a book club to find some motivation, I recently started a book club. We're going to start in February, so you still have time to join. Woo. You still have time to join if you would like to do so. And I shared my Discord in the chat. Alrighty, guys. I hope you had a good week. So I ended up having to go to like Georgia for a work trip, and ironically ended up running into like a snow ice storm. So that was really, really interesting. Uh, really interesting turn of events. All right, let's get started with the community read. I'm gonna shuffle this, get a nice shuffle going real quick. I'm so excited for this deck. So this Endless Oracle is by Eric Mayel. He is working on the tarot version of this Oracle deck. So I'm very much looking forward to that. All right, let's see what we have as a community. Let's see what our first card is. We have the birds. Let's see what our next card is. Waterfall, and our last card, the lighthouse. I'm actually gonna look at the little booklet that he has here. Actually, I think it's a big book that I don't have out, so I'll just go a little more intuitively based off of what I'm feeling here. So we have the birds, we have the waterfall, and then we have the lighthouse. And I feel like birds are like generally the messengers whenever they pop up. Hi Sel, welcome. I'm glad you're listening on your phone. Thanks for joining. So whenever the birds pop up, I feel like there's this element of like a lot of movement that's happening, especially when it comes to communication or messages or just knowledge in general. A lot of things are being delivered and received, and um, as a community, I think this is just like saying, hey, how can we recognize the messages that we're receiving? Or maybe how can we recognize how we're communicating with people and just kind of be a little more thoughtful in those regards? And then we have the waterfall. The waterfall to me really like exudes a lot of still continues that element of movement that you have with the birds, but there's a lot of energy behind it. So the actually, I'm gonna go ahead and get my book. I feel like there's a piece of the waterfall that I'm missing. I feel like I still need to learn how to trust myself intuitively. So that's kind of why I want to use this deck a little bit more. Okay, so the waterfall represents persistence and being consistent. When this pops up, there's it really asks us to think about the long hauls of the things that we're working on. So things that are really just going to be with us for a long while, things that we have been taking with us for a long while, or things that we recognize are going to take quite a bit before we're able to be between before we uh achieve whatever it is we're trying to achieve, whatever milestone we're trying to get to, whatever end goal we're trying to get to, so forth. Thank you, Sil, for the hype. I definitely need it sometimes. Something I'm working on personally, but happy to share that journey with you guys. So one of the things it mentions in the book about water in general is how it has a way of reshaping things. So, water tends to flow wherever it can and it'll make its own channels. So, as we are working on building that like movement and freedom and communication over here with the birds, we're trying to look for more paths that maybe we haven't recognized as we have been trying to achieve those things. So what are some like paths that maybe might not be quite as obvious, but might seem that they can be beneficial to you? And then we have the lighthouse. I feel like the lighthouse is like the beacon in the dark where it's just guiding you home. Um let's see what it says for the lighthouse. So the lighthouse is direction and beckoning. And it literally says the lighthouse shines a beacon to be followed. So as you are making your own path, I feel like there are going to be things that you uncover that makes it feel very obvious that you makes it feel very obvious that you should go down that path. So the lighthouse is really about like if you kind of go with the cliche of like the light at the end of the tunnel kind of idea, the lighthouse is that for you. So if there are things where you are just like you have an idea of where you really want to go and you can see how to get there, but you feel like the path is outside of what you might have originally planned, maybe this is your sign to go down it anyway. Let me see what else it says. Oh, I love that. It says something is reaching out to you and offering a bright point to follow. It's up to you whether or not to heed the beckoning of this call. So there's something calling out to you that you have to just be honest about. And maybe it is a different path than you were hoping for, but I think that maybe pivoting or transitioning down a slightly different path might be beneficial. All right. So if you would like a little bit more detail to include the endless oracle, I can definitely do that for you if you send a little tip my way. And yeah, so it's like a guiding light. Sorry in advance because I feel like Apollo is like in rare form today. He's very upset because I was traveling. So he's a bit ornery and he might be in the background. All right, Ari, go ahead, put your question in the chat. I'm gonna get this all shuffled. So if you guys are free on Sunday, Sil and I are going to be doing our tarot time together where we talk about our top 3 tarot, top 3 oracle decks of last year, and a bonus like favorite divination tool that falls into like the other category that we got last year. So if you're curious about that, or if you have something you'd like to share with us, make sure to join us on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I actually have to figure out what all I even got this past year. I don't think I bought I bought a few oracle decks, which I'm excited to show. But I gotta think about what tarot decks. Um, I gotta think about what tarot decks that I actually bought last year that I want to talk about. My favorite, I guess, out of the year. I did really well, guys, on my like low buy. My low buy for the last few, I would say like 2 years at this point. So I'm very proud of myself where I haven't let myself go too crazy, but I bought stuff that I'm really excited about. So Sil put in the chat, she put in the chat the link to Sunday's live. Make sure you click it, set your notification so you don't miss us on Sunday. I'm excited to use this deck again. I've been really enjoying the Dreamscapes Tarot. I will say that Lamucci really like has been killing it with decks, in my opinion. There we go. Nice shuffle. Okay, let's see, Ari, what Spirit's trying to tell you in regards to what's going on. One last shuffle. Whew. Nice. All right, let's see what Spirit is trying to tell you. Okay, so we have the Queen of Wands. We have, let me fix my lights a little bit so you can see a little better. Okay, I think that's better. So we have the Queen of Wands, the Six of Wands, and the Six of Swords. Ooh, you have two sixes. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna look up the numerology of sixes. One of these days, I'm gonna remember my numerology, guys, and y'all are gonna be flabbergasted. Okay, so sixes are about cooperation and compassion. So we have that in regards to wands, which is our fire energy. So cooperating with the things that inspire us, whereas like the Six of Swords is more so cooperating more thoughtfully. And then on the I'll start in the beginning, right? We kind of talked about the sixes a little bit, but we have the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands, she is very much so the really joyful and creative queen when it comes to the grand scheme of queens. So I feel like and let me highlight your question so I don't lose it. So I feel like, you know, the Queen of Wands is really indicative to me. Like Spirit is saying, hey, be a little creative about what signs we're sending you and how you're interpreting them. Like maybe they're a little difficult to assess, but because you have this Queen of Wands energy, and it indicates to me that they trust that you will figure it out in one way or another. So the Queen of Wands, she's really, she exudes a lot of energy overall, and really willing to uncover or nurture or grow the things that she cares about. So, I think that in this regard, if I were to answer your question with like a quick, like, yes, no, um, I would definitely say, yeah, this might be a sign that spirit's like, hey, move on. Maybe this is like the first step, and you're meant to like take this first step, learn from it, grow from it, be inspired by it, but ultimately it's about moving on. So I'm going to flip over to the other side where we have the Six of Swords. This is very much so the moving on card, but unlike the Eight of Cups, where it's like physically and emotionally moving on, the Six of Swords really invites you to thoughtfully put things behind you. So be very deliberate about it, and um, be very deliberate about it, and be very like intellectual and logical about how you are moving forward. So you might be seeing these signs iteratively. You might be seeing these signs iteratively, but it's up to you to put the pieces together. So on one side with the Queen of Wands, it indicates to me that they trust that you can do that. On the other side with the Six of Swords, it indicates to me that spirit's like saying, okay, you have the ability to do it, but are you putting the things that aren't working for you behind you as you're moving forward, and are you really logically putting your best foot forward, right? So that being said, you have the Six of Wands in the center of your reading. It really indicates to me that spirit sees this as being a successful endeavor for you if you were to go ahead and move on. um it does give very much like stepping stone kind of thing, and where it's like, oh, I kind of if you've ever done an escape room, I'll use this an escape room analogy, where you uncover one mystery, but it opens the door to a larger one. That kind of feel, that's kind of the energy, the vibes that I'm getting off. But I will say with the six of wands being in the center of your reading, it does give this air of success, but it does indicate that you have to put some work behind it, because the wands requires a lot of energy and movement and willingness to do so. So as long as you are wanting to do that and willing to do that, I feel like spirit's saying like, yeah, you have everything set for you. Hello, say hi. Yeah. So brings up a good point. Like, I feel like you wanting to reach out to this person and then being met with someone else might be an obvious sign, but there might be some other things that you might have missed. So there is that, like, I think with the Six of Swords, where you have to sort of reflect a little bit and see what it is that paints that picture a little better completely. Alrighty. Four, you are up next. I feel like sometimes I think people, when it comes to serendipity and like synchronicity, people um put too much stock in the obvious, and there's a lot of things that I think people miss if they just kind of sit with things. Um but I think that if you just kind of give yourself a chance, you'll definitely be able to figure it out. Yeah, glad it was helpful. All right, four. I feel like you asked me this last time. Are you sure you don't want to switch it up? Because a week from yesterday, or was it a week? Not even, right? Because I did this on Sunday. Or maybe it was 2 weeks. I don't know. A lot of wands energy this weekend. So we have the Eight of Wands, King of Cups, and the Page of Wands. So yeah, I knew I was live on Sunday. I just couldn't remember who all was there. So ironically, for I think that this is advice on that. So um mm, this could be reversed in a few different ways, but I think this makes the most sense for this. So the Eight of Wands has a lot of movement going on. There's a lot of energy around you, but the downside to the Eight of Wands is sometimes it can be very chaotic and very unfocused. So while there's that energy, that push, and that movement there, sometimes it's not focused towards any specific goal or any specific achievement or milestone or desire. It's just there. And sometimes that manifests a lot of times in like for I'll use examples because I can't think of like words today, but it can manifest in like starting a lot of things and then not being able to finish them. Researching something that seems really, really interesting, but you never do it. So the Eight of Wands is great, can be great in the sense that there's that push behind something that you want to do. But if it's unfocused, it can really just throw you in every which way. And it can be very exhausting to end up that way and can cause you to panic, right? So we have the King of Cups. I reverse this because cups exude water, wands are fire. They don't mesh well together. They kind of like mitigate each other a bit, and most of your reading is fire. So when it comes to the King of Cups, I think all of this unfocused energy is really resulting in moodiness, feeling like you just are emotionally disconnected from things. Emotionally, you can't put the energy behind things that you really want to. And then it makes you feel, or it can result in you being very closed off from people and things that you might ultimately actually care about. So what it is you want to find ways to focus this energy. The King of Cups is very much a king that leads with compassion. So what are the things that you are emotionally like invested in that you feel like you can focus this energy towards? What where can you tap into that King of Cups energy and feel like you can control yourself um at an emotional level? So the compounding upon that, we have the Page of Wands. Pages are like learners. So the kings are really like the ruler sounds so uh, has a little bit of a bad connotation for, but they are the leaders along with the queens, right, in different aspects. But the King of Cups likes to lead through thoughtfulness and their emotions and finding balance between them, but in reverse is finding difficulty in honing in on that, right? And then on the other side, you have this Page of Cups who just simply wants to explore and go on adventures. The pages are really just wanting to learn about the world around them in some aspect. And in regards to the wand specifically, this page really wants to feel like they can find that freedom that they get in learning new things and expanding their horizons. So there's this focus that I feel like for that you need to do that find balance between these two things where you're finding something new and exciting, something that maybe sparks a little bit of that passion that you feel like you might have been missing. But you so that's how you can focus it, but you also have to feel like you're emotionally connected to it. It can't just be something frivolous that someone throws at you because other people are doing it or because maybe you feel like this is something you liked previously and just it doesn't work for you anymore because we grow and we're different people from time period to time period, right? But I think ultimately, I would say that your advice from spirit is really about focusing that energy where you can find that balance between the inspiration and love of growing and learning, but also being able to feel like you can lead with a little bit more compassion, most likely inwardly to yourself, like with yourself, being a little bit more compassionate about where you spend your time and energy. So, yeah, it's very interesting. I think that this worked out well because I know I pulled your cards before you clarified your question, and it ended up being exactly what I feel like your question was that you asked about. Thanks, M Soul, for understanding. Yeah, I do things a little differently than YouTube. I feel like I have very much a Twitch style, but I just don't want to stream on Twitch. So I keep a queue to keep myself in order and to keep everybody else in order. And I used to have a problem with people asking questions and then leaving, and it sucks because as a reader, I like to get feedback. You're welcome for. All right, let's see what advice you can get for 2025. Ah, a repeat card. All right, next card. I feel like 2025 is going to be a really like high energy year for a lot of people based off of the past few lives I've done and just community reads and the energy in the air. All right, last card. One more. Here we go. So we started off similarly and then we delved a little differently here. We have again the Eight of Wands, we have the Emperor, and then we have the World. So you have two major arcana cards, and that's not too unlikely in terms of like looking at the year ahead kind of reading. I feel like it makes a lot of sense because you have a whole year of major things to happen and um things that really can impact you long term, right? So again, I'll mention Eight of Wands, a lot of energy, a lot of movement. It's really, really good. Uh Somebody will have to correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the Emperor is also fire. One of these days I'm gonna remember these associations, but you have two fire energies, two fire elements here. So a lot of movement, a lot of growth. This year is probably about really tackling the things that you have been very passionate about, discovering new passions. And one of the things I mentioned in the previous reading about the Eight of Wands is consciously finding focus on that energy because it can very quickly become chaotic. Now with the Emperor here, I don't really feel that being so much of an issue. Thank you, Sil. I knew somebody would correct me. With the Emperor, I don't really feel the energy being too chaotic being an actual issue. I think that the Emperor does a really, really great job of creating structure around him. So for 2025, one of your goals might be to create structure and boundaries and um, actually enforcing them. That could be building good habits. It could be setting the rules for the people around you and how you interact. It can manifest in a lot of things, but I think in doing so, it really reins in a lot of this, and it allows you to open yourself up to receive that energy and focus it on the things that you okay, Luna. Come on. Come on. Sorry, someone wanted to go uppies. Say hi. So, I think that 2025, yes, the true star of the show has arrived. Her name is Luna Andromeda, right? Yes. You'll most likely see her Sunday because she likes to make an appearance during our podcast. And I say our podcast, but it's her podcast. She just lets us start it and stop it for her. Yes. Okay, so I think 2025 for you though is going to be very much a start to finish journey in certain aspects where like we have the world card here. That is the last of your major arcana. This is the end goal. This is like what I like to call the ultimate achievement, where you can wrap certain things up with a bow and really place them off to the side because you've accomplished what you want to accomplish. And I think a lot of this energy is going to push you and give you that momentum and trajectory that you need to get to that point. So thank you for clarifying that the earth is earth. I mean, the world is earth. Oh my gosh. No. I'm sorry, Luna. You can't do that. You can enjoy the little cat meows as acoustic sounds in the background. But I think 2025 is going to be really great in the sense that you will be able to wrap up a lot of things that you've actually worked hard towards the year. But like I said, to get to this point, to get to that achievement and finalizing a lot of those things, you really need to do your due diligence in terms of this Emperor card. This being at the center of your reading really tells me like one of your major goals this year should really be about creating structure and boundaries and I don't want to use the word rules necessarily because I can have a bit of a bad connotation to some people, but creating those rules in your life where it allows you to very clearly set the next steps for what you need, right? Yeah, she agrees. So I think that, and so going off of some of the motifs in the card, some of the imagery, we start to see these like streaks of lines, right? These bright things. I'll lift it up. So you see these streaks, these light streaks, but they're very all over the place. They're very unfocused, and it very much feels like the Emperor takes them, and in his staff is almost like drawing them in, and it is a beacon where then the Emperor can use it to light the way, so to speak. And then we get to the world card where you have lit the way to the path that you need to take, and you are now embracing that. So if you look at it that way, I feel like it's very much very much the ingesting that energy that you are receiving. It just might take a little bit of practice. It very much feels like a year long at least journey where you are sort of discovering how to do that if you haven't done so in the past. And forgive me, I definitely don't fully remember the reading I gave you last time. I tend to after a while, but sometimes it depends on the week I've had. Yeah, I mean, he can use it to guide himself. I sometimes so sometimes when it comes to the hermit, I very much feel like it's very much so guiding oneself. But the emperor, it almost feels like it can lead that way, or it could be because the emperor is so headstrong and confident, it could be setting the path that he wants to go down. So it could be a few different things, but honestly, if you resonate and connect more so with guiding himself through that way, I think that's the way that you should go. I'm a girl slinging cards on the internet, and my goal is to just inspire you to figure out the next steps for yourself. Yeah, exactly, Luna. We should all just listen to Luna. I think that's the end of my cue. It's a quiet night tonight. It's my fault for skipping last Friday. But okay. Thank you guys. Remember, I will be here next Friday. And all praise Luna. Please don't all praise Luna. She does not need a bigger head on these little shoulders. So I will be here next Friday, and also please join me and Sil for our tarot time. If you have some favorite decks that you bought this past year, whether they be Oracle, Tarot, or something else, come join us, talk about them. Basically, it's our fun time to kick off the year and just talk about some of the fun things that we brought into our collections in the past year. So yeah, join us. And I'm sure if I have to use this as bait, Luna will most likely be there. She's a true studio manager, right? Right, Luna? Oh goodness. Luna, apparently you're an icon on the internet. She's speechless. Alrighty guys, I'm actually gonna go ahead and kick off early since we finished everything tonight. I'm happy to take an early night and snuggle with the cats, right? Oh, she's done for the night. I will see you guys on Sunday, and if not, I'll see you guys on Friday. You're very welcome, MSoul. Thank you for joining. And yeah, have a great night, guys. If you'd like to, go ahead and join us over on Discord and chat with us. Join our reading club that we've started, and have a overall great night.